You too. Do.
She's in the middle of stuff, so we'll wait for a second. Because we'll just gonna lose her a while. I tried to
Here, you want to
don't move my stuff.
I can charge your phone on my laptop.
I have a power bank too. It might be.
Do we want to try my phone? Or if your phone is connected, plugged in, will it be fine? If your phone is connected to the laptop, did you meet with her? She was doing it. Okay. So this is the agenda. Oh, there are a few mornings. I had so last minute. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Oh,
Hold on. I have an iPhone jack.
oh yes. Do you want that fire? I said no. I'm short. No, yes, no, that's fine. Perfect. Thank you. No problem. I don't know what. Hold on, I have an iPhone jack, but we have to.
Simba, come here. Simba.
Or do you want to try it with my phone? My phone's on hotspot though. Oh, but then you need it. No, I don't need it. That's but I just didn't know if you had enough battery. Because we can't keep it plugged in because it needs to be plugged in there for the audio. Gotcha. Oh, I have to breathe. I really need to set this up. Do you have the ability to turn your phone into a hotspot? No, you wouldn't download anything. It's just something that's part of your phone usually. Oh, Jenny, you have a hotspot, don't you?
No.
So here's the thing. Usually on the computer, it gives me the option for donations. And I'm not seeing. I don't know how to do that at all. You do have. Why wasn't it going live on Corey's phone?
Hello there.
Because I just remembered now we don't have a hotspot for my computer.
Andrea has hotspot.
Oh, you do? Okay. Sorry.
You guys got
Hello, just 1 second here. Here, do you want to set this up?
Yeah.
Sorry. And we're ready to go.
Okay. Do you want me to go as soon as I set it up?
Yes, please.
I'm the sister of Veronica. I'd like to know.
Justin you found out last week presidential executive orders. It's 2 weeks hopefully it will help some of the police departments say, listen, we don't need to
Oh, she wanted to say your name.
Okay, that's good.
How close are you Where are Maria?
Was she doing? No, that was a family.
I'm getting rid of one.
Sweet. How are you guys holding up with trials? We just had so we were scheduled to have a trial. Judge Burgess looked at it, talked to the judges, and they changed. They moved our date back until September. That's the term that they filed a motion. It says, you know, the judge's order says this date pending subsequent order by the trial. So the defense attorney filed a motion that said, my client wants to move forward, he wants to do this, we can do it safely. Pushing it at advice, the judge advice line, I'm trying to want to go. So interesting to see. We did a big walk around a couple years ago. Here's how we're going to do this.
We have a lot of.
Yeah. Really? Right.
Oh, but there's my bike. Oh, just regular. Oh, so I gotta go check on it. Thank you.
Wow.
How are we doing on time? We're live. I don't have those in here.
That's a hard hurdle.
11:50, so I need to write like a regular earphone.
Yeah, I think that's right.
When we have this.
I'm the interpreter. Oh, great.
Wait, no, it's not.
Very much.
And we have that.
Well, I guess I won't hear the how you doing. I haven't seen your lunch breaks. Did you try calling them? No, we'll do that.
Where would be a good place for me to
Yes, I think Marissa had you guys
Someplace.
back here and then some acid.
We ain't going into court until after. It's been good for so my son goes to Catholic school. It's been good for them because they're all kinds of people want to sign up.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. But given that we're live streaming and everything else, I'm going to give it a few minutes for everybody to join us. Thank you.
Okay. Well, it looked like something you took a program to the table. You can find this little on there, and then the one that I just
Talking about mass, maybe take the mass off the ring.
yes. So what I was
Yeah, okay. That's good. Yep.
navigating it as
No, we're all doing that.
you guys all have the biggest secret about I am a bit of a novice user. Totally empty, so please bear with me, and that's something else.
Hi, this is Julie. I'm calling from Victims for Justice. Oh, we don't appreciate you. Sorry.
Good. Is he said what he's coming back? Where was she? That's a big difference. Okay. That's okay, pal.
I'll be wiping down Are we good to go?
Just like boom, boom. We're supposed to go to an all U.S. attorney next month. It's like, they're really pushing it because they think, I think realistically,
Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Victoria Shanklin, and I have the honor of being the Executive Director of Victims for Justice. On behalf of the staff and the Board of Directors, I'd like to welcome you to today's ceremony honoring Alaska's innocent victims of homicide. As is the trend of 2020, we are doing things a bit differently today. We have encouraged a number of people to join us online for streaming, so I appreciate any of your patience as we work our way through any technical difficulties that may be occurring. And we thank all of you who are joining us in person. We will be wearing masks and be practicing safety with sanitizing the mic and everything else like that. And please, we do have masks over there if you'd like to take advantage of those. We have a sign language interpreter joining us today, and will be with us throughout the ceremony. Ryan Skort is volunteering her time, so thank you very much. And thank you to Spookums, who's been playing the harp for us once again today. We are so grateful that you could come for this year. We love having you here. For those of you who are joining us online, there is an agenda online that you can find on our Facebook page. And there's also other information where you can figure out how to get involved, and I'd encourage you to explore that as well. So again, please bear with us if sound is not optimal. We did test everything beforehand, but as we've learned, as many times as we test, it never goes according to plan. So thank you again in advance. Today we do have a few staff members joining us, but for those of you also online, I'd like to encourage you to please comment and join in the chat so that everybody can participate in their own way. Someone from VFJ will be monitoring those chats, so we're hoping to be able to continue to let you participate in any way possible. Sometimes it also does get noisy here, as we are next to a road, so we will try to honor that and pause if there's a loud truck or something. It's important to us, once again, that even though everyone cannot join us here in person, that we are still honoring those that we have lost and recognizing the impacts of violence in our community. So we hope we are able to do that today. We are honored to start out today with a welcoming from Native Village of Eklutna. The Homicide Memorial sits on Dena'ina land, and we would be grateful for a blessing to host this event from the original inhabitants and the stewards of the land. With that, I'd like to invite Second Chief Maria Coleman and her daughter, Tribal Council Trustee Teresia Coleman, to say a few words.
Good afternoon. Looks like the sun is shining on us. I want to say that we are honored that you respect our indigenous land, that you respect our people enough to invite us to speak. I found a historical note that the first pilgrims were in Massachusetts in 1620, and that in 1650, the Dena'ina movement into the Kinnick Arm was established. Most people say we've been here about 2,000 years. We say since time immemorial, meaning a long, long time. Our history is a history of suffering. We survived, become acclimated to the English culture, and during that process, we suffered all the abuses that occurred while before people started learning to get along. We also lost half our population from epidemic in the 1850s, and then again we lost half our population in the 1918 flu epidemic. And we keep over here, we're still here, and I say we're here to stay. My first personal involvement with the Victims for Justice was in 1994 when one of my nieces was shot. Little did I know when we first started that for the next 8 months I would be going to 10 funerals, 10 young people and teenagers who were killed violently that year. I was a walking, open wound, vulnerable to the world, and I'm so grateful for the people who provided support, including Victims for Justice and including the kind people in this world who accepted us and saw us as human beings. For that reason, I'm truly thankful for inviting me here, and I welcome you to our traditional lands. Now, my daughter, Tracy Coleman, has a couple of words.
I was planning on saying a lot, but then I've seen all this community support here, and I'm not sure that I can. I feel like you guys say it for us. We're about our community. We're about persevering. We're about overcoming with love. And that's what I'm seeing here today is a lot of love. So I'm just not going to say what I had written, and I'm just going to thank you for supporting this amazing cause, because years past there wasn't this amount of love. Thank you.
So, usually at welcome means, it was that people would come to the village or to our land and they would ask us to use our hunting area or our fishing area, and they would bring us gifts and um, treat us well, and we would, if they were good behaved, we'd let them use our area. So, but we also give gifts. We give gifts to honor people. We give gifts for special appreciations and, for dignitaries, because what would we do without the help of some of our politicians? So we felt that it was right and correct to bring a gift, Marissa, for Victims of Justice. Here's a poem I wrote in '94 after we lost those 10 children, and a piece of beadwork. If you could accept this gift from Native Village of the Kootenai, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today. I think we might be having a little bit of technical issues. So you might just want to pause for a second.
For those that didn't hear, there's a few technical issues, so we're just going to pause for 1 second. Thank you. Thank you so much for that gift on behalf of Victims for Justice, and we would also like to offer you this gift. This is a print that was made by Don Kolstad, and it was offered to Victims for Justice as a sign of hope and healing. And we'd like to offer you this now, and because we appreciate you helping us head in that direction. And we hope, we appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you so much. Thank you. There are many contributions that have gone into making this park what it is today, and that's a place for solace and healing. So I'd like to take just a moment to recognize a few of the very many people who have made this park possible and the renovation. The renovation was a dream of Paula Bradison with the help of Downtown Rotary, Corvus Designs, the Anchorage Park Foundation, and the police and fire chaplains. There are many, many others who, again, helped to create this space. And we were, with their help, we were able to not only repair, but rebuild the park into what it is today. So again, thank you for this beautiful space. We at Victims for Justice are honored to continue to be the caretakers of this park, and we thank you for all of your support. And while this park represents those who we have been unable to protect, There are many who are working continuously to make changes on a policy level. So with that, so that we may not face the same issues in the future. With that, I'd like to introduce Representative Garen Tarr to say a few words. Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. Good afternoon. I'm Representative Garen Tarr. And I just want to start by saying what an honor it is to be here, to be able to say a few words and be with you this afternoon. When people ask me about being a legislator and what it's like, I say it's like gaining 18,000 family members. And my neighbors are people who I care about very deeply. And I'm not experiencing the same grief that some of you are, but there are too many names in this memorial that are people from that special family of mine. Names like Precious Alex, a young person taken too soon. Names like Leroy Lawrence, another young person taken too soon. Names that I will remember forever and families that I'll remember forever. And so it's not the same grief that you're experiencing or the same kind of loss, but I do stand here with you today knowing that you're experiencing loss and grief and wanting to stand and offer support in that grief. What I wish more than anything is I could take away all of the pain that you feel and I could bring back your loved ones. But like Tori said, what I can do is I can work on things to prevent violence in our community. And it would be wrong to say that we couldn't have done things to prevent some of the violence that brought the names to the memorial today. And so I just wanted to share a few of the things that we are trying to work on to help stop violence in our community. One thing that we often read about in some of these unfortunate circumstances is the use of drug and alcohol. And we know in our community that we have a lot more to do to help our neighbors who experience addiction and how that addiction can influence some of the violence in our community. And that's something that we're committed to working on both at the state and the city level. We know that we need to fill in the gaps in our mental health care system. And while we know that most people who experience mental illness are not violent, in unfortunate circumstances, sometimes that untreated mental illness does lead to violence. And we saw that in our community in the last year. That's something that we really, really need to work on together as a community and as policy leaders. In my area, gun violence prevention is the #1 priority for the youth. And so I work on legislation related to gun violence prevention, not because it's an easy issue in Alaska, it certainly is not, but because I hear those youth speak up and I want to honor their wishes and their call for that work. And so I do that. And I always think that our work starts with our kids. So we've been working a lot on trauma-informed policies. Trauma-informed is the shift we make in policy from asking what's wrong with you to what happened to you. And so often some of the things that are happening are because bad things happened to someone. And so in the trauma-informed work, we work on healing and we hope to give hope. And we're working on bringing those trauma-informed policies into our schools and the restorative practices into our schools and into our criminal justice system. So those are just a few of the things I think we can do to help prevent violence in our community. I think we have to have a vision of a community free of violence. And I have that vision, and I hope all of you do too. I think if we all share that vision together, that's how we'll get there. And like I say, I wish I could take away some of the pain that you're feeling. And I know I'm sorry that I can't. But if you join me in that vision and we all work towards that day when we wake up one day in Alaska and we know that some of this violence is not happening, then we'll know we'll honor the memory of your loved ones and we'll prevent the need for more names on this memorial. So that's my commitment to you. I'll carry you in my heart, and I'm so sorry for your loss. But my commitment is I will work as hard as I can with my colleagues and with some of the leaders sitting here today to bring you that community that's free of violence so that we can all heal and live in more harmony together. So thank you for the opportunity to be here with you today. And again, I keep all of you in my heart, and I'm sharing, and thank you for letting me be here with you today. Thank you, Representative Tar. And now I'd like to move on to why we are all here today. We will be taking a moment to acknowledge the lives that have been lost to senseless acts of violence in our community. We will begin with a blessing from the police and fire chaplains. Following the blessing, we will be reading the names of those who are no longer with us. We do not take this task lightly, as we recognize that with each name read, multiple individuals and families are left behind, and the impact is greater than any one of us. Thank you to Diane Peterson, Chaplain Diane Peterson, for leading us in a blessing. And thank you to our name readers who will be taking on this very important task. Today we have Anchorage Police Department Deputy Chief Ken McCoy, who will be reading the name additions from 2019. District Attorney Brittany Dunlop will be reading the name additions for 2020. And U.S. Attorney for the District of Alaska, Brian Schroeder, will be reading the previously added names of those who submitted and would like them to be read. We understand that a number of individuals here, in the past, we have allowed people to read the names of their loved ones. Given the social distancing and what's going on today, we can still do that, but what we'll ask is for one person to come up and wait here, and then I will hold the mic and let you read the name one at a time, but please keep space as we do, if that works for everyone. If you've already submitted a name, then we will be reading it for you. So thank you, and Diane.
Big story. You know, grief never really ends, but it changes. And it's a passage. It's not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness nor a lack of faith. It is the price of love. So today, in your heart, I hope you feel love. Please join me in prayer. God, we come here today as we remember the names on these pillars, each name leaving a hole in the heart of their loved one. You see where no one else is able to fully see or understand. You know the pain that is carried. We lean in with trust and hope in our law enforcement and justice system. Thank you for their dedication to the loved one left behind. We ask for your grace to cover every broken place, every heartache. Fill that brokenness with love and strength. Amen.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Anchorage Police Department, I offer our deepest condolences. Your loved ones will never be forgotten. Amy Moore, Tuan Nguyen, Sherry Ingram, Patty LaBouffe, Kristen Reed, Scott Johnson, Kevin Napier, Taman Mason DeShields, Robin Rochelle Taylor, Javon Diggs Sr., Jaraka Hundley, Michelle Hundley, Rebecca Adams, Simone Kemp, Norman Georgie Dennis Jr., Tony Sissock, Dr. Eric Garcia, Veronica Long, Caitlin Sowers, Venus Woods, Brian Ballot.
On behalf of the Anchorage District Attorney's Office, I offer my sincerest condolences and sympathies and a renewed commitment to seek justice for the lives lost and all of the names on the plaques here today. For new plaques added in 2020, Alan Bolsch, Corbin Grassman, Lanika Zimmer, Jerry Sales, Cecilia Tuaga, Nevaeh S.K. Tuaga, Cynthia Hoffman, Preston Atwood, Peter Horace Wright, Salisa Lux, Bruce Morgan II, Teodoro Burdan, Dylan Gregg, Robert Stewart, Mingnuna Miller, Rodney Price, Robin Gray, Weston Gladney, Jenna Del Kitty, LaRon Roberts, Michael Greco, Ida Gurley Agachuk, Christopher Liebert, Sentwally Howard, Eva Brower, Veronica Abachuk, Martha Toms, Marcus Cosby, George Jones, Gunnar Swan, David Cargill, Ashley Sandmagan Johnson Barr, Harriet Lane, Thomas Williams Jr., Dolly Hampton, Jeremy Speaker.
I'm honored to be here today to recognize the loss that we've all felt and to pay the respects to those loved ones that have passed on. Brandon Christopher Erlmeyer, Adrian Beaver, Stephen Milano Cook, Corey Hornstein Williams, Reynaldo Rocky Katsuvan, Bryant Bree DeHusan, Desiree Gonzalez, Zayden Young, Zariel Young, Dustin Lee Gard, Lati Fogg, Rodolfo Fofo Contreras, Brooke McFeeters, David Fleming, Kiva Dale Friedman, Linda Ann Martz Bauer, Martha Marty Hansen, Daniel McCready, Terry Spencer, Sean Eric Whitley, Paula Zarowski, Officer Louis Gordon Mazzell, Officer Jonathan Paul Flora, Kristen Lee, George Earl Richardson, Delcy May Richardson, and Linda Marie Skeek.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite anyone who would like to, that's name was not read and would like to read one, is welcome to come. Again, one at a time, please appear. I'll give a few moments.
Leroy Lawrence.
Peter Horace Wright, Guard Utah.
Thank you all. Thank you for reading those names. One engraved plaque, one engraved pillar is far too many. Our entire community suffers each time we add a name. While we hope to not be needed at Victims for Justice, we are grounded in our work. Oh, excuse me.
Virginia Tura, Point Lay.
Are there any others? I've been asked to also say David Grunwald and Brandy Sullivan. Let's give a few moments just for those names. Again, it is heartbreaking to hear the list of names, and it's heartbreaking that we all have to come here together today. But I am grateful that all of you have come, and I hope that we were able to honor your loved ones this year. Again, given the various circumstances, I'm sorry that we have to come together like this, but I'm glad that we can. Today, I'd like to also just thank our dedicated board and staff who, again, worked very hard to put this event together today and to try to honor everyone, family, friends, and those on the plaques. Our dedicated staff do work empathetically behind the scenes year-round to ensure that victims are seen, heard, and cared for. We are here for you if and when you need. I'd also like to recognize our new partnerships with the Anchorage Police Department and the District Attorney's Office. We hope that these new collaborations will lead to increased victim-centered responses following a crime. So thank you. All of your presence here today demonstrates your commitment to healing our community. I'd like to invite you to please stay connected to Victims for Justice and get more involved. We'd love to hear from you. You can do this by reaching out online. You can give us a call. You can share this recorded event if that's helpful. Sign up for a newsletter, anything. We want to hear from you. Your voice matters. It's important to us. So please give us a call. We'd love to be a resource. Thank you all for joining us today. We genuinely appreciate it. And that will conclude our service for today.
Love you, Celia! Love you, China!
Yeah, we did.
Is this what your third ceremony?
Well, I don't think that we have. We should do this. Where did my phone end up?
Excuse me. Did they put my nephew's name? Because he just not long ago in February, and we just called and they said they're gonna do it next year. Sean Eric.
We said your nephew's name, but his name will be added next year.
That's what my niece was told.
What's your name?
Angelica.
Yes, I believe that they told us to fill out a form because usually we get all the names by May 15th so they can be engraved. So I think the name is already on the list to be printed next year.
Okay, but we need to fill out a form for his name to be written. But
Yeah.
his name was already called right here. They said they'll call his name.
Right, we said his name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to fill out a form.
Yeah, it's an online form. I think that the list is
Oh, sure. Did you get one of these made? You just put it on your refrigerator, pick one. Okay. You know, they have a answer to the justice advocate Yeah, that's what they're there for. Yeah. Yeah. We're on your speed dial.
We should drive back today. Just take it up. Yeah. You know, you said you were communicating all the way down. So communicate all the way back. Oh, it's, yeah. Thank you. And you, I can hear you on the microphone.